going to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. We'll start with a reading of the mission statement. We're committed to academic achievement and success for all students in a safe environment. In partnership with families in our community, our mission is to promote confidence, inspire a passion for learning, and to prepare our students to become responsible global citizens. Next on the agenda is approval of the revised agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. There is no update on questions or comments raised from interested citizens, and I don't believe we have any signed up to speak tonight, which brings us to the budget review superintendent's recommendation. Dr. Norman.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am Tracy Norman, Superintendent, and I will be presenting the 25-26 budget recommendation. So before we begin, I just want to remind that you've heard from our assistant superintendents, our directors, our assistant principals. They have presented on their respective budgets, so tonight is more of a summarization and a global approach. So these are our budget priorities: safety and security, maintaining our programs, and really just supporting our students, faculty to meet state standards. Some of the things that you heard leading up to this that are embedded in these areas: safety and security for one. You heard us talk about the actual vestibules, additional security cameras. So those things are already a part of that, and they will remain our priorities for the following year. Next slide. So this is a portrait of a graduate, and New York State wants all of our students in the state of New York to be proficient in each of these areas. So what you're looking at on the screen there really is what drives our budget and our priorities, and that's to produce students that meet each of these areas, and not only become proficient in these areas, but also become competitive as they enter the workforce in each of these areas. So this is the famous tax cap. So what you're looking at are the actual steps involved in calculating the tax cap. So dating back to 2011, the state has imposed a tax cap that all districts must adhere to, meaning that you cannot raise the tax levy higher than the actual tax cap. This year, the tax cap is 3.55%. The tax levy that we are proposing is 1.5%, which is well below the maximum. I also want to note that for the past 6 years, we have come in well below the tax cap. So that's good news for our taxpayers. Slide. So looking at the revenue side, again, you see the recommended levy at 1.5%. Which again is lower than last year's, which was 1.7%. You also see last year that we had state aid of $88 million. This year we have state aid of $94 million or so that's coming in. Now that allows us to lower our tax levy, so that's again is a good thing. One of the reasons why that has increased, Governor Hochul awarded $1.4 billion to the state. And as we've spoken about, BOCES, they're doing capital projects, which has also produced additional aid for our district. So the end result is that we're able to recommend a 1.5% tax levy. Slide. And this is a graphic. You have our state aid by category. No surprises there. Foundation aid make up the majority, which is 69%. The second highest area is transportation at 16%.
I have a pointer.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't do.
Next slide, we're good. So this is the district revenue by category, and this is a year-to-year comparison. Just kind of gives you a visual of how we compare this year to last year. Well, this actual current year, state aid, year 39%. As I mentioned, next year's a little bit higher at 40%. And then you see the other side, which is the tax levy, which is a good chunk of our revenue. Last year, again, 58.7%, but as I mentioned, next year we're proposing just a little bit lower at 1.5%. So that's good news for our taxpayers. Next slide. Patrick?
So I'm going to review this slide real quick. So this slide shows the superintendent's recommended budget. And so Proposition 1, as it typically is the general fund budget, the total general fund budget. So we're proposing a budget of $236.7 million, which is a 5.88% budget-to-budget increase. Dr. Norman has covered the school tax levy, $133.3 million, which is a 1.5% increase in the levy. Property tax revenues and other sources, that's principally state aid and some miscellaneous aids, $99.5 million. The appropriated reserves, the district has reserves which are like rainy day accounts, we sometimes say, for specific purposes. So we're proposing to use $2.47 million of our reserves. The reserves that we'd be using would be the Employee Benefit Accrued Liability Reserve, which is called EBLR, which is for payments to employees that are separating from the district or have accrued, let's say, vacation time, which they can liquidate. We're proposing to use the unemployment reserve, so that's set aside for unemployment expenses that the district incurs. We've seen a little uptick in that. We're talking about using the ERS and TRS reserve. And finally, the debt service reserve, which is a fund that's been set aside. It's actually money that was associated with the borrowing from the high school. So it's literally that old. And we have to use that in the next couple of years because we'll be retiring the debt associated with that. So that's the other piece of that. Finally, the assigned, I used to call it appropriated fund balance. We now call it assigned. We're recommending $1.425 million, which is the surplus that we anticipate getting from the current year and giving that back to the taxpayers to lower the levy for next year, the upcoming year. So you see the appropriation budget is equal to the revenue budget. That's Proposition 1. Proposition 2 is an authorization to spend up to $16.6 million on additional capital projects. So these are projects that would complement our existing $98 million project. And what we've done is we're proposing to use $5.3 million from our existing capital reserve and borrow the remaining $11.3 million. And we've engineered this to have no tax impact because the expense associated with repaying the borrowing would be less than or equal to the building aid we'd receive over approximately a 15-year period of time. So we're able to spend $16.6 million with no tax impact. And I'll just very briefly go through, we're going to talk more about this in coming weeks, what we're proposing to do with that. So we've talked a little bit about this. We're proposing to add air conditioning, kind of like central air, to classrooms in 3 of our elementary schools. And so these 3 schools are Pine Tree, North Main, and Central Valley. So these are the schools that, as part of our 2023 capital program, are having major heating renovation, where we're going from a steam heating system to hot water system. And I've mentioned this before, so as part of that, it's sort of an invasive process where we're doing new boilers in the basement, new piping that's going to run up through the building, along the ceilings, chases and the like, down to new unit ventilators. So for a relatively small investment, we can add air conditioning. So it's in my opinion, it's a wise time to do that. It's a cost-effective investment right now to add air conditioning. And then the other big piece of that $16.6 million is adding walls and doors to the open classrooms at North Main Elementary School. So we've heard from folks there. It's sort of it's one of those things you can't easily do that, but now is the time for as part of this 16.6, we can add doors, walls for security reasons, for Instructional functionality, I understand the open classrooms are nice, but there are some challenges with that, so we're proposing to enclose that and do that work at North Main. So that's the bulk of Proposition 2.
Thank you,
I
Patrick.
just have a question, I think for really the public's benefit. The air conditioning is actually now a state mandate that's coming out, that if it hits over a certain degree, we have to make arrangements. So I think just for the public to know, this isn't just an add-on that would be nice to have. It's actually been mandated in law that otherwise you have to send the kids home or make alternate arrangements, correct?
That's correct. You want me to answer that? So it's called the heat index law, and it's effective September 1 of 2025. And so when classrooms, I think actually non-instructional spaces hit 88 degrees, the mandate is that you can't occupy the space anymore. You have to take action to reduce that or move people to another area. So we're mandated to come up with a plan that addresses that, and part of our plan, we have short-term plans, and the $16.6 million Proposition 2 is sort of the longer-term plan, where we're going to actually air-condition classrooms. And you're right, Michael, it's now a state mandate that these classrooms can't be used when they're above 88 degrees, so.
And then the middle school, I've had kids that gone through the middle school. The second floor of the middle school is like a heat box inferno in the summertime.
Yes.
Is that on the slate at some point? Because I only have the 3 schools that you mentioned.
Yeah, so as part of the 16.6, there's also funding in there for electrical upgrades that we would need to do. And these are actually major upgrades at the middle school and the other buildings that are involved. And the solution there, I'll call it the medium-term solution, is to make these electrical upgrades and install almost like a permanent installation of sort of a 2-ton, a heavier window unit to air-conditioned classrooms. So there's sort of multiple things. There's also a very short-term move, which would be to install more like smaller, I would say, air conditioning units that you'd see in your home, kind of as a very short term. So there's short, there's medium, and there's the long term.
So the electrical upgrades will help get all of those installed to support the load.
Yeah, and that's required to have the larger window units, which will do a much better job than sort of the residential type units, which we're going to use in the short run, the very short run.
Yeah, we do have a plan. That's, a lot of this work is taking place now. Our principals have done a great job of identifying areas, cooling areas, when the temperature reaches that. And we're confident by September 1 that we'll have a plan in place that we can meet the governor's intent, this heat index 10.
Thank you.
So what you're looking at here is a budget-to-budget comparison going back to 2016-17. So over the past 10 years, we've averaged about 3.8%. This year, it's a little bit higher, 5.8%. But as you see there, the last 4 or 5 years, we've had just an increase in inflation. So that's kind of the major factor of that. Looking at the tax levy comparison over the past 10 years, so the good news here is that over the past 10 years, it's averaged about 1.8%, I believe, and here again, we're coming in below the 10-year average at 1.5%. So trending in the right direction there. So I have to talk about, well, I think it's prudent to talk about contingent budget rules. And what this simply means is that, if this recommendation is adopted by the board and for whatever reason it's voted down by the public, then we have to resort to what's called contingent budget rules. And meaning that we can't increase the tax levy if it's voted down twice, and we have to basically just put forward all the essential items. So that would leave us a 1.9 million deficit, meaning that we would have to find that money or cut to meet that deficit. So, and these are upcoming Budget dates. Encouraging all to actually participate in voting. Pending your questions.
Is the Crusader Chat going to have a format similar in years past where the public can submit questions that'll be answered?
Sure, we have spoken about that. If, I know that's something we've done in the past, and we're prepared to do that. If there's an appetite for that, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Norman. Mr. Cahill.
Thank you.
Next up is the approval of minutes from March 19, 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy manual updates, second reading and adoption. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And Ms. Hawk for personnel.
Thank you. I'd like to request board approval for the items listed under personnel this evening.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Cahill for business and financial.
Thank you. I respectfully request approval of business and financial items 10.1 through 10.6.
Any questions?
I have a question regarding the photography bid. I know we've talked about it here in public, so I saw it on the agenda for this evening. So if either you or Dr. Hassler can just give an update publicly as to the company that is being utilized and how the process kind of came to be.
Mr. Cahill?
I'll start us off, and then I may kick it to Dr. Hassel. I think he was actually a bit more involved. So we conducted an RFP process, which is, permissible in this sort of situation because it's professional services. Dr. Hassler, team from the high school, and business office folks went through that process. I believe there were approximately 5 respondents, proposers. I think we narrowed that down to 2 or 3 near the end and conducted some interviews. And I think it was very successful because we were able to sort of, number one, cull out and unbundle exactly the services that were involved with this, overall lower the price. There's different packages of photos that can be purchased, but in general it's around 22% reduction in price, which is great news, which was really the objective, to kind of get the vendors to sharpen their pencil and give us a better price and understand what we're really buying. It turned out that in a lot of cases there were these free, I'm air quoting, services which really are not free because they're passed along in higher prices to the families. So that's what we're trying to get to, really, is to cull that stuff out, to really understand what the true cost was and get the best price and pass that on to the family. So I think we've accomplished that. Eric, I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I think that the only thing to add to that is that the scope of the RFP were 2 main items. One was senior portraits. The second was the underclass portraits, freshmen through juniors. So Patrick had mentioned that there was on average a 22% reduction in senior class portraits was the number that he was referring to. The underclass portraits, the freshman through junior package prices were reduced on average of 44%.
Right.
So I agree
It's
that
even
I
better.
think that we accomplished what the mission was of really digging deeper into what's behind the costs and bringing the cost down in a more affordable way.
Okay.
I have
And
a-
just publicly so that everybody is aware, because it is the same company. So I think it's important to realize that, the due diligence was done, and the company obviously heard the requests from the parents, myself included. And so it's great to hear that even though we are still utilizing the same company, there's going to be a lot of significant changes.
Yep.
So thank you.
And I just want to hats off to those that were involved with it, the business office folks, people at the high school, Dr. Hassler. It's a lot of work sometimes
Yes,
to go
thank
through
you.
these procurement processes and to really do a good job and understand what happened, and I think we did.
I learned a lot. Hats
I-
off to the business office because they do this on an ongoing basis. I'm not a big RFP participant, so I learned a lot.
What about the graduation photographer?
So
Have we
right
looked at
now, we have 2 separate contracts we have for a long time. We have
Island?
a separate photographer who does exclusively graduation. Right now, the focus of this was really the senior portraits and the underclass portraits, but
I know, I'm just curious
we
to see
started
if you're
conversations
reviewing.
about the possibility of including some of those as part of the service. But this was sort of the entry point, and then I think we left the door open for future opportunities like that. I should also note, previously, the contract was for a multi-year contract. The contract now moving forward is going to be for 1 year, with an opportunity for renewal after the year.
Which I appreciate, because I saw that in here. I think with the problems we've had, we need to
Yeah.
make sure they stick to their commitments.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Committees on Special Education and Preschool Special Education Recommendations. Motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Reports by board. Vice President Ciriello for audit.
I think we need to set a date, right? I know I owe Michael something.
Yeah, we had,
We have a lot of conflicts with
yeah,
schedules.
we had an issue with the previously scheduled meeting, and so we're in the process of deciding if we're going to, if and when we're going to reschedule. We have the June 11th meeting on the calendar, but we're talking about available dates prior to that.
All right, I'll have an update at the next meeting. We'll try to see if we can coordinate schedules.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Ms. Donahue is not here. Ms. Clark, is there anything you'd like to share with Dr. Norman about Policy Committee?
Our next meeting is on the 22nd. One member is not able to come, so when Suzanne gets back, we will talk about seeing if we need to reschedule that meeting or not.
Thank you. And Mr. Reynolds for visitation?
We visited the old schoolhouse a couple of weeks ago. It's still old. Not much changes there, but I think we have a good path forward of.
At the tree.
Any
Yeah,
raccoons in the
the tree
eaves
hit the
there?
roof,
It's still
which,
standing.
tends to happen to old buildings. But I think we have a good path forward of actually moving and doing something with that building in a positive way for us and other community members to enjoy it. So more to follow on that as we get closer.
Thank you. Ms. McCleary for Capital Project?
So we did have a recent meeting and went over, we had the architects in and the Palumbo group that came in to discuss where we're kind of at with the process. And I did check to see that a lot of the things are going to continue to be updated on the website. So for community members who are interested, aside from reaching out to whoever you might have questions for, principals of each building are going to be aware of the scope of work that's happening, who's in their building as far as safety and security. So those were all big concerns. And we have, the work on phase 1 is set to begin early summer. So we are on track and ready to go, and as work gets progressed and gets done, aside from, like I said, in the buildings, they'll have information to go out to the parents as to what's happening in each of those zones, but then also keep an eye on the district website for updates for anything specific. Am I
Thank you.
forgetting anything in particular, Patrick? I think that's pretty much,
I think you nailed it. You got it.
yeah. I mean, we've already spoken about the Central Valley vestibules. I know you addressed all of that. And you just spoke tonight about the reserves and all of that. Michael brought up about the heat index law, so pretty much everything that's been covered.
Thank you. Ms. Simmons, Orange County School Board Association.
So
I'm sorry, our next meeting is June 12th. Okay.
Thank you.
the last OXPA meeting was packed with a bunch of interesting topics. We covered federal DEI and how what's changing there is affecting the educational space, immigration concerns, transgender student rights. We addressed something that Monroe-Woodbury already has in place, having student board representatives. And then we also discussed collective bargaining trends. There was a presentation by David Shaw and Beth Harris from Shaw, Pearlston, May, and Lambert that kind of went over components of all of these. And essentially, all the school districts needs to have plans in place as it relates to all of these topics. So,
Thank you.
of course.
And next is our student representative, Mr. Escobar.
Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm excited to share today what I've done since the last meeting. I've had the chance to visit 3 schools, Smith Clove, Pine Tree, and Central Valley. Just like my meeting at Sapphire last month, I read to students the book We Are All Wonders, educating them on people with facial differences and showing them that it's what's on the inside that matters. The kids were adorable. I think it's really important to educate young students about people with visual differences so that empathy and understanding is formed. Now on to my visits at Pine Tree and Central Valley. I met with students to speak about their experiences with their peers and conducted a survey. I'm hoping to conduct the same survey at North Main in a few weeks, and I'll give an update on my findings by the next meeting. If you have any questions, jump in whenever. I asked 4 questions on a 1 to 5 scale. How do you feel about spending time with classmates? How do you feel in activities? How included do you feel in activities, sorry? How comfortable do you feel in class? And how kind are classmates to you? The survey also asked 6 yes or no questions, which were, have you ever made a classmate upset? Has a student ever made you feel upset? Do you feel safe at school? Do you feel that classmates are kind to you? Have you ever had to speak to a teacher about something that made you upset? And has anyone made you upset but you didn't tell the teacher about it? And students were told that for the yes or no questions that they could put maybe or sometimes for if they were struggling to pick one side or the other. Those middle responses, like the sometimes and the maybes, were all counted in one group. Lastly, just background on the survey, students were asked to elaborate on 2 of their answers on the back of the sheet to give some greater clarification on what they put. The data was very similar across both schools, so I don't think it's necessary to break the report down by each school. And all of these recommendations can be applied across all of the 2 through 5 schools, possibly even middle and high as well. A couple of interesting things were revealed from the data. The average of the question, do you feel comfortable at school, was a 3.7 at Pine Tree and a 4 at Central Valley. And the most yeses, the most amount of yeses to a question was for, do you feel safe at school? With 21 out of 24 at Central Valley saying yes, and 15 out of 15 saying yes at Pine Tree. And I think that just speaks to the effectiveness of both security and teachers in making the environment of the classrooms comfortable and safe for students. So I was happy with that. A lot of students' answers that they felt like on the ranking, it was a 5 out of 5 for feeling included in activities. But of course, there were some students who put lower scores, and that's totally normal. There will always be students who feel more shy or who feel like they can't break into groups as much. I would just advise teachers to do a mix of activities where students can pick their partners, and some where groups are decided at random, giving space for students to both form relationships and continue developing their relationships with the peers they already know, and also giving them the opportunity to meet new people and break in with new groups. Some also added in their extended response that they just enjoy time to themselves, and I thought that was a really wonderful and emotionally mature response. It's important to understand that we're all different or have different levels of extroversion or introversion. So recognizing those differences and that some people just enjoy that alone time is, I think, is really important. So I was also pleasantly surprised at the emotional maturity of the students when asked about the, have you ever made a student upset? A lot of students did put yes, and I think that showed a lot of bravery for actually talking about that. Some said that it was because they were in a certain mood and they said things they didn't really mean, and that they understood that when another classmate made them upset, that was true as well for them. I think it just highlights how emotionally mature our students are at the schools, and even at these younger levels, how mature they can be. I think the most significant conclusion from this data was regarding students talking to their teachers. For the questions, has something made you upset but you didn't tell the teacher, 15 out of 20 at Pine Tree said yes. And at CV, that was 19 out of 25. So in the extended response, many students said that they didn't because they didn't want to be like a snitch or a tattletale or didn't want to start more drama. And you know, it's been a long time since any of us have been at that age level, but hearing this brought back a lot of those feelings that I had when I was that age of not wanting to be like those things, you know. And it's a common thing for young students, but I think to address that, my recommendation is that teachers have some kind of anonymous comment box where students can write down something that's bothering them and tell the teacher discreetly and privately. This will make students more comfortable with sharing their feelings with the teacher, and it won't impede class time and allow for students to resolve problems quietly and effectively. I'm aware of the anonymous alerts, which are available on the website, but this system would be more personal to each classroom and would have comments going directly to the teacher. And then in this way, students won't feel like a snitch or a tattletale for telling students about something that is bothering them. And the setup is as easy as a box, slips of paper, and a pencil. But overall, I'm very happy with the findings from this survey, which could not have been done without the work of the wonderful administrators and students who helped me out. So thank you guys so much. These findings just demonstrate that our school is an environment where students feel comfortable and safe, and that our district is doing things to make sure that all students feel welcome. So like I said before, I'm going to add on to these findings when I visit with North Main, and with the conclusion of that visit, I'm kind of entering the twilight of my time as Board of Ed rep, you know. I've had so many wonderful meetings with administrators who show so much dedication with the district. I just had one with Dr. Norman. That was wonderful. We just had an excellent conversation, and I'm at ease leaving this district knowing that it's in such good hands going forward. And I would just like to add that over the next few months, there are a couple things, I want to do things a little bit differently. Over the course of my visits to the schools, I've not just been observing whatever the topic I was looking for. I was observing commonalities between student responses or things that they were oftentimes bringing up when we were having conversations or discussions. And I'm planning on bouncing around to a few different schools to address these wider issues. So I will keep you all updated on that as I'm going around to each of these schools one last time. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. If not, then yeah, I will see you all at the next meeting, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and that brings us to reports by board and central office. Dr. Morales.
Good evening. Just a few things. I had the opportunity to participate in the Music Boosters interview, which is always an incredible night to be able to chat with students and try to ease their nerves a bit, and just continually impressed by just how much they're juggling on a consistent basis. I would like to thank the Smith Clove administrative team as well as Ms. Mullen. I had the opportunity to read to her class as part of Women's History Month. She has quite a classroom. Very, very excited first graders. I would like to thank the secondary administrators and the E&L departments for all of their work in being able to host a very successful Tri-States visit. I would need to acknowledge and thank the 2 through 5 administrators and teachers for their flexibility and patience as we navigated all things state testing, not to talk about a hot topic. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Berger. Thank you.
Mr. Cahill.
Okay, so thank you. I'd like to thank my colleagues for all the work that they put in pulling together the budget for this year. I think we put together a good budget and did a really good job, and it's always a team effort. And with that, I hope everyone has a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Diaz.
Music Booster was a great experience, and I feel like sometimes I'm learning from them because I'm not really good in that area, so it was always an interesting experience. Big shout out and congratulations to the high school chess team, being a champion, being a first place in the Mid-Hudson Scholastic Chess League, and especially to shout out to Jacob, who had an undefeated chess season, which is incredibly hard to do, and James for the second place. And a good night, everyone.
I agree. Music Boosters was great. Congrats to Chris. Middle school also navigated some of the testing challenges, and I have to say selfishly, I'm excited for Chris to head into the HR position, but he really led a building today through some very challenging circumstances. So you are definitely going to be missed at the middle school. I attended the OU BOCES CTE budget dinner, which was awesome. I was at the Harlem Wizards game where I think Dr. Norman said that he would play in the future. I think we, sorry to burst everybody's bubble. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble, but we lost again. But I think maybe Dr. Norman, if you play next year, maybe I'll play with you next year. Maybe we might be able to put us over the top with the Harlem Wizards.
I think it should be the whole cabinet.
Yeah.
I'll play chess.
Yeah, there you go.
Borrow sports and music.
Yeah. I went to Secret Garden. It was amazing. Quick plug for the high school. Tomorrow night's their job fair, so if any students are listening, I encourage you to attend because we've had a lot of success with our kids getting jobs, and, kudos to the high school for putting it together. So, and agree with the chess team. Thank you.
Ms. Hawk?
I would just like to congratulate Chris Berger, who this evening was approved to be first the Deputy Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and eventually the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. It is an amazing. I'm not yet ready to pass the baton, but I will be at some point, and it is an amazing feeling to know that we are going to have someone in this seat as competent as you are, so congratulations.
Ms. Simmons?
Also, hearty congratulations to you, Chris. Couldn't have gone to a more deserving person outside of Lori. You're the next in line that's like going to rock this position out. Secret Garden, again, the talent in this district was amazing. The performance was engaging. It was enthralling. So kudos to all of those amazing performers. Congratulations to the chess club. And I do want to give a very heartfelt thank you. Last meeting, I got some very disheartening news about a member of my family, and the outpouring of support and people reaching out to me, I truly, truly appreciate it. She is going to be okay, so thank you for that. But this is what Monroe-Woodbury is. We're all just a part of each other's extended family. So from the bottom of my heart and from my family to my extended Crusader family, thank you so much for that outpouring. Your prayers really made a difference. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Ms. McCleary?
Congratulations to Mr. Berger, very well deserved. I had an opportunity to read for Women's History Month at Smith Clove Elementary, so I want to thank Mrs. Gardner, who always does just a phenomenal job of not only inviting us to attend these functions, but she just always goes above and beyond in her efforts to make us feel welcome. The kids are engaged. It's a great experience for us to be able to witness what she does on the daily basis. So I appreciate that. I was also able to attend the high school Crusaders Committed to Education event. So thank you to Liam Gaffney and all of the high school staff for inviting us to that. It was a great day. I was able to go to, I believe, about 4 different presentations. So they were all very well received. I know in one of the classes that I was in, the students were really engaged. They enjoyed all of it. They had great questions. And I think all of the resources that were given to the students that day were passed on through the high school. So hopefully for any students in need, they have those resources. Also, April Autism Awareness, as I've said here before, I had 4 kids that came through. It's very rare to have your high school senior come home and tell you how their day was. You know, you ask and you don't always get a lot. But I have to give kudos. I'm not sure where it originated or how it started, but Madeline did come home to tell me about the rock, paper, scissor that took place up at the high school. And it was great. So it was nice to hear her engaged about it. It seemed to be very enthusiastic in the building. From what I understand, it looks like every kid got a necklace and they kind of competed against each other until there were only 2 left standing, if I'm understanding it correctly. But it sounds like it was a great day, so kudos for that. Rhythm and Rhyme again this year, always amazing. It was my 4th year attending. Mr. and Mrs. Bulla always do an amazing job. Congratulations to Dylan, because aside from all of his Board of Education duties, he was there rocking it out and did an amazing job, so congratulations to him. And the job fair tomorrow night. So if your student is looking for a job, there's about 25 businesses coming tomorrow night, 5 to 8 at the high school.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds?
I greatly appreciate all of the wonderful things that the testing teams did today to adjust, and yesterday as well. Maybe New York State will figure out how to do it the right way so that we don't have to put our teachers in our buildings in all that chaos. Great to hear about North Main of putting up walls and doors, not only for safety, but really for our teachers and our students. It's a much better experience to focus on what they should be focusing on, which is everything in the classroom and not outside of the classroom. So great to hear that. I'd like to thank Stacy for basically, I think, co-sponsoring the photo reduction with me to make it down.
As
So
I leave.
kudos to the team to get 22%. That's great. I mean, that's real savings to our families. who could be struggling to get something that, your kid only graduates once from high school, right? So really proud of the team on that one. Mr. Berger, welcome to the team, brother. Good to have you. We're going to miss Lori, but I'm sure you'll at least somewhat fill a little bit of her shoes as you go in. And Secret Garden, I'll let probably Mike talk about Secret Garden since his son did an amazing job in it. But really, the talent, as my colleagues have said, is unbelievable in this district, and not only in the classroom, but on the sports field, and clearly on the stage every day. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robinson.
So just to add on to what Jeff was saying about state testing also, I appreciate the communication that went out about it as a parent, but also as an educator dealing with it as well. Knowing when things were changing and how they were changing for the kids was very helpful. Also, congratulations to Mr. Berger, and that's it. Good night.
Thank you. Mr. Escobar?
Well, congratulations to Mr. Berger. From all the meetings we've had, you've been such a wonderful guy, and I know the people at the middle school love you so much, and they're going to miss you, but you're going to do such an amazing job in this position. When I heard about the budget recommendations and the ACs and the walls at North Main, I am so
Didn't want to graduate, right?
I am so excited about that. I didn't go to North Main, but my mom works there, and I consider myself like a pseudo North Mainer. So just hearing about those, and from talking to the students, I know how big of a concern that was, both the air conditions and the walls. So hearing about that just made my day. So I'm really happy about that. Congratulations to the chess team on the huge win. Gonna plug Secret Garden one last time. It was awesome. I mean, all my friends were in it, and I directed it, so it was fun. Yeah, that was just shameless plug. Rhythm and Rhyme was wonderful. To all our amazing performers there, great job. And to Miss Hawk, it's I just wish you well in whatever comes next. So thank you for all the amazing work you've done for our district. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Norman?
Good evening again. So I just sit and beam with pride when I hear the updates and all the great things that's happening in our district. So I won't repeat much of what's been said, but I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge not only Mr. Berger, congratulations, but also the great job that the board members did and the other cabinet for participating in the interviewing process. It yielded your great results. So thank you for that. I'm pleased to share that our district has achieved 100% compliance in the recent Comprehensive Food Service Administrative Review conducted by the New York State Education Department Child Nutrition Program Administration. This outcome reflects our ongoing commitment to meeting all federal and state requirements related to school nutrition programs. I'm going to just take pause and just really try and maybe communicate this the right way. This was a major state audit. Rarely, if ever, are audits conducted and nothing is found. That's what happened with our child nutrition program. Kudos to Lynn, and we should really clap for that and acknowledge that. So just a quick deadline reminder, the Board of Education is seeking a member of the MW High School class of 2026 to serve as student representative on the Board of Education. You heard Dylan say that he's nearing the end here. The student member of the Board of Education will serve as the voice of the students by providing brief reports, sharing issues of importance to the student body and board at Board of Education meetings. Congratulations to the Middle School Odyssey of the Mind team, who placed 6th in the New York State Tournament in Syracuse, New York. Well done, Crusaders. I had the pleasure of attending the Orange Ulster BOCES annual Humanities Award breakfast on April 2nd. 2 Monroe-Woodbury High School students, Anna Mallory and Sonny Stein, were among the honorees at this event that celebrates seniors and juniors who have shown an impressive dedication, skill, and commitment to the arts and humanities. Congratulations to them. It was mentioned, our chess league. Congratulations to those students. And I too attended the actual musical production, The Secret Garden, my wife and I really just continue to be mesmerized by how these students perform and just really just Broadway caliber. So congratulations to yet another successful production. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Vice President Ciriello.
Okay, I'm going to try to keep it brief but brilliant. The budget presentation tonight was one of the best that I've seen, and I really appreciate that. I think it had just the right level of detail and information and explanation. So thank you to everyone who was involved in putting that together and to the presenters. Secret Garden was another fantastic show, and I don't really have much more to add than what everyone said before. I would say, if you haven't had an opportunity to go to Broadway, you should come to a Monroe-Woodbury High School production. It's pretty close to Broadway level, and it'll give you an experience, and it's a lot more cost-effective. And then congratulations to Mr. Berger. I know the middle school's going to miss you, but we're going to be glad to have you at the dais and supporting the school in a different capacity. And with that, I just want to wish everyone a great evening.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start with the budget presentation. I too thought it was a great presentation, but I want to note that your focus to keep our students and balance it out with the community was appreciated. So thank you to you and Mr. Cahill and the cabinet and everybody that supported the work that went into the budget. Mr. Berger, you've made an impact every place you've been in this district. I've known you a long time, and we're very looking forward to having you a part of the next move for you here. And like Dr. Norman said, the student board representative position is open, I think, until the 11th, Carol, right? April 11th. So you still have some time to get your applications in, and I'm sure Mr. Escobar would be happy to speak with any student that was interested in being a part of this amazing experience.
I've spoken to a couple already. The candidates who are going for it are just all, I'm not picking it, but like I would, if I was, I would have such a hard time because they're all such wonderful and talented people. So I'm excited to see what comes next.
Thank you. And that's all I have. Thank you and good night. And with that, a motion to adjourn into executive session. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.